Good afternoon, and welcome to Studio 51. I'm Emma Wheeler.
And I'm Andrew Gonzalez. Studio 51 is a weekly news magazine produced by Loyola students. We call it Studio 51 for our beautiful street studio located on 51 East Pearson in downtown Chicago.
We've got plenty in store for you today, from the latest scandal with the CTA to the newest resident at the Brookfield Zoo. And I sit down with the editor of the Loyola Phoenix to discuss the lack of student input and diversity in university decisions.
Feeling Italiano? Our foodie brings us right around the corner for some fine Italian dining. And later, we'll have all your Chicago sports coverage right here. But first, Alex Whitler has all the updates for this week's news summary. Alex?
Thanks, Andy. The Loyola community and Chicago police are still trying to find a Loyola student. 20-year-old Chan Williams has been missing for almost a week and was last seen going to the Chicago Board of Trade Friday night. Anyone with information should contact the Chicago police. The Chicago Transit Authority is cracking down on what it calls fraudulent use of discounted and free cards. The CTA has collected at least 1,800 falsely used cards in the past month, with an expected 6,000 still in use. The CTA gives free and discounted cards to people with disabilities and seniors, but sometimes scammers and thieves get a hold of them. Card fraud has caused the CTA to lose $2.8 million. So now investigators are trying to figure out if the cards were lost or stolen by sending letters to the owners. The ultimate goal is to keep the cards with the people who actually need them. You may have heard the term Gamergate come in news or up in conversation in the past few weeks and asked, what is it? Originally, Gamergate was the movement in the gaming industry against online gaming critics. Gamers felt critics spent too much time discussing the role of women in the industry and not enough on actual game reviews. The term Gamergate also refers to the mistreatment of women who spoke out against the attack on gaming critics, like Anita Sarkeesian. The feminist blogger and gaming critic is consistently harassed online and received multiple death threats, but she continues to speak out against the mistreatment of women in gaming. And she was the keynote speaker at Loyola's Digital Ethics Symposium. Studio 51's Joaquin Carrig has more.
Security was tight at the entrance of Lewis Towers as Loyola University prepared for the arrival of feminist blogger Anita Sarkeesian. Moderator Dr. Florence Chi knew months ago, when Loyola was looking for a keynote speaker, that Sarkeesian would be a good fit, but she had no idea just how timely the speech would be.
We identified her as someone who speaks well to the issues of digital ethics, social justice, and then decided to bring her. And then this stuff blew up in the media.
While her Feminist Frequency video series discussing the role of women in pop culture did generate a lot of publicity, it was the horrible harassment and death threats to Sarkeesian in response to the videos that forced her into the spotlight.
She's hardly had much choice in how she's been thrust into the public eye, but the way she's handling it is fantastic.
Rather than remove herself from the online sphere, something nobody would blame her for doing, the personal attacks have only fueled her.
Anita is not alone. This is something that is important to note. She represents many of us who have been working in the game space who face these challenges.
Sarkeesian believes the mistreatment of women in the gaming world stems from denial and delusion.
The perpetrators do not see themselves as perpetrators at all. Instead, they see themselves as noble warriors fighting to save gaming from all those who dare suggest it ever change or grow up or mature.
But the problem mostly stems from sexism.
There's a prevailing feeling among an alarming number of men that women with any degree of perceived power, success, or influence do not deserve their positions in male-dominated fields, and that therefore they must be using manipulative or duplicitous means to gain and hold on to those positions.
One of the key ways Sarkeesian believes women can overcome their disadvantage in the gaming industry is simply getting the public to understand the seriousness of the issue.
Give us the benefit of the doubt and believe us when we speak up. Don't belittle our experiences by saying, oh, it's just the internet, or it's not real, or it's just boys being boys.
Loyola student and gaming aficionado Megan Pazik agrees.
Don't discredit a woman's experience. I think that was great, or like anyone's experience, because that happens quite frequently where people shove it aside and they're like, well, that didn't really happen, or like, that's not how you're really feeling. And it's like, whoa, you can't tell me how I feel.
Sarkeesian ended her speech optimistic that, even in the face of all the hate, change is still possible.
I really do believe that if we work together, we can create a cultural shift where women, without threat of fear or intimidation, can be full and active participants in our digital world.
Despite constant threats from online harassers, Sarkeesian continues to spread awareness of the struggle for women to maintain equal rights in the gaming industry. For Studio 51, I'm Joaquin Carrig.
Thanks, Joaquin. The school couldn't have found a better person to speak on this. Have you seen the pictures of the proposed George Lucas Museum? It looks like something from outer space. But it's become controversial. Mayor Rahm Emanuel likes it, but others oppose the planned location. One organization, Friends of the Parks, has threatened to file a lawsuit that could prevent construction. The group points out that the Lakefront Protection Ordinance prohibits private development east of Lakeshore Drive. The Star Wars Mecca was originally planned to be built between Soldier Field and McCormick Place earlier this summer. Speaking of outer space, dreams became a reality for science this week with a stunning first. After traveling for 10 years, the European Space Agency's Rosetta has successfully landed on a speeding comet. The probe has already started collecting scientific data and even sent back pictures that could lead to details on the origins of life. Meanwhile, here at Loyola and across the nation, race continues to be a major issue. The university's Black Cultural Center works to reduce race-based violence. Studio 51's Jade Anderson has more on this.
Every year, every month, every week, and every day, in all countries, states, and cities, innocent lives are being taken due to gun violence, prejudice, racism, and hate. One Loyola cultural organization decided to bring awareness to this topic in a week-long program called Regaining Our Community. After seeing headline after headline of the unlawful murders of minority youth, Loyola's Black Cultural Center seized the opportunity to stand as activists for change.
We can inform people around campus about the different innocent victims who have been killed to gun violence and police violence across the community.
They came up with the name Regaining Our Community to symbolize a fight for progression in midst of all the killings of innocent people, as well as the violent protests that have risen as a reaction to all the issues. The first event, entitled Do You Know My Name?, showcased 6 young people who were recently murdered with a description below of how each of them died. Missing from the wall was their names. The organization wanted to highlight that while some cases received lots of attention, many others go unnoticed. Another event was a day of silence entitled Silence, Solidarity for Our Souls. Students were given a sticker and pledged not to speak in support of all who lost their lives through unlawful killings. They will close out the Awareness Week tonight with their general body meeting, Unity Starts with You and I. There they will discuss how to come together and create a better place for future generations. One member plans to stay involved in making a change even after the week ends, and says it's easy for other students to do so as well.
Just have conversations with your peers and let them know. That's basically being an activist, that's spreading awareness in just day-to-day conversations. Or you could do something as simple as retweet a tweet or like a Facebook post.
Now, if you still want to get involved following this week's events, the BCC will be hosting a die-in on November 24th in the Damon Student Center. At 12 p.m., students will all gather and drop to the ground to simulate all the lives lost throughout this year. For Studio 51, I'm Jade Anderson.
Thanks, Jade. And finally, Brookfield Zoo has a new addition. A baby orangutan who was abandoned by its mother has now been bonding with a new, more loving one. Kachil is now 10 months old, and you can keep up with his developments online with a blog called Journal, Kachil Development. Well, that's it for this week's news summary. I'm Alex Whitler.
Thanks, Alex. What about the orangutan?
Oh my gosh, little Kachil looks so cute.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he has to say on his blog. Up next, we have all the latest health news with Lauren Smith. What do we need to know, Lauren?
According to the CDC, the U.S. is officially Ebola-free. The last doctor diagnosed with the disease, Dr. Craig Spencer, was released from the hospital on Tuesday. He asked that the U.S. now return its attention to the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Currently, there are 13,000 reported cases of Ebola in the region. According to the World Health Organization, Ebola is still very active in the countries Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Meanwhile, here in Illinois, registered nurses are demanding tougher safety precautions in hospitals against Ebola. Hospitals officials in Cook County have since released a statement saying more than 500 healthcare employees have been trained to handle the disease. Parents, be warned. Those colorful and convenient laundry detergent pods are more dangerous than they look. The pods are small and brightly colored, so children mistake them for candy and small toys. A study from the Journal of Pediatrics found that over 17,000 children were accidentally poisoned by the packets. The children suffered a range of symptoms, from mild stomach aches and vomiting, while others were hospitalized for comas and seizures. The American Cleaning Institute claims that they are working with the detergent manufacturers to increase safety measures. And well, everyone knows you need to be 21 to drink, but now in Evanston, you need to be 21 to smoke too. The new law in the Chicago suburb went into effect this week, raising the legal smoking age from 18 to 21. It is now illegal to purchase, sell cigarettes, tobacco products, and liquid nicotine to anyone under 21. And finally, speaking of young smokers, a new study shows that early marijuana can actually lower your IQ. The National Academy of Science found that using pot as early as 14 can decrease the decision-making part of the brain. The study shows that people who regularly use marijuana have an average IQ 5 points lower than non-users. However, some researchers argue that the study is incomplete and call for more long-term research before they can make any conclusions. Well, that's all for your health report. For Studio 51, I'm Lauren Smith.
Thanks, Lauren. You know, it seems weird to me that Evanston is allowed to lower the smoking age below the rest of the state.
Yeah, it seems a little weird, but it's a good thing I'm 22, or else I'd have to find a new cigar lounge.
You know, cigars aren't really for me, but I am a big fan of the Blackhawks, and they have made a little run. And we're not too worried about the Bulls. But should we talk about the Bears? Stephanie Buffamonte tells us all with Sports in 51 Seconds. All right, Stephanie, your time has started.
After a rocky start, the Blackhawks are finally making a comeback. If they win tomorrow against the Red Wings, it will be their third win in a row. And two knee injuries won't kill Bulls point guard Derrick Rose's spirit. His teammates said on Wednesday they don't doubt his commitment to the team. We can't ignore the elephant in the room. Just hearing the name Cutler might make you cringe, or burn your jersey like some fans have been doing and posting to their YouTube pages. Not only is Cutler's performance lacking on the field, he simply seems like he doesn't care. We aren't asking him to punch a wall or kick a Gatorade table over when things are going wrong, but we're not happy with the lax attitude. Football is as much a mental sport as it is physical. Listen up, Jay. Get your head in the game and own up to your mistakes. Your fans want to see that you're just as mad as they are. Seasoned co-host of Fox NFL, Terry Bradshaw, called it at the beginning of the season, saying, "You're making a great living, having fun, and playing the game you've looked forward to playing since you were a little kid. Act like you enjoy it, man." Jay, you're making over $18 million a year. I think you can try a little harder to care. Let's see some personality this Sunday against the Vikings. For Sports in almost 51 seconds, I'm Stephanie Buffamonte.
Thanks, Stephanie. You know, I understand where Chicago is coming from, but being from Minnesota, I know all too well about quarterback problems.
Yeah, I don't understand what the fuss is about. I'm a Bears fan, I'm a Dolphins fan, so I'm used to disappointment.
You know, Jay Cutler may stir controversy in Chicago, but after the break, let's talk about Loyola University's decision-making. Should students have more input?
And later, Studio 51's commentary takes on net neutrality. Stay tuned.
Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Maybe you should go to your shelter and get a mature dog who will make your blues disappear. How's that for tricks? I got picked. Wow.
So you can't save money? That's easy as pie. Brown bagging lunch instead of going out. $6 save times 5 days a week times 10 years is $21,000. That's a lot of lettuce. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to Studio 51. I'm Andrew Gonzalez. This week in the Loyola Phoenix, there's a staff editorial on the front page with a headline that says, "Student input not appreciated." What's this all about? Phoenix editor Esther Castillejo is here to explain more with my co-anchor, Emma. Emma?
Thanks, Andy. And thanks, Esther, for sitting down with us. So could you tell us a little bit about this editorial that came out in the Phoenix recently, and what were some of the main decisions that the university has made without the students?
Well, the main decision that the university made that prompted the editorial board of the Loyola Phoenix to write this editorial was the change in the finals week schedule. This was a change that was not notified, that was not consulted with students, and that has the potential to directly affect students at Loyola. Some of them will have, starting next semester, even up to 3 finals in one day.
Was this the decision that got the most backlash from the students at the university?
No, we actually conducted a survey where we asked students at Loyola, what are the decisions that you feel the university has not taken your input for? And the changes in the meal plan a couple of years ago was the main decision that students were mad about, especially since not only the structure of the meal plans was changed, but also the prices went up.
So tell us a little bit more about this survey that you conducted. How did you guys conduct it, and what were some of the responses that you guys got?
Well, we created an online survey asking questions not only about what the decisions were that students were mad about, but also if students felt that their input was appreciated by the university. So we promoted the survey on social media, both the Phoenix's social media and the staff's individual social media accounts, and we got over 100 responses, and from that we took data to write this editorial.
So why do you think it's important for the student body to be involved in these decisions, and how do you think that coincides with the Jesuit mission that we have?
Well, these decisions that administrators at Loyola are making directly affect Loyola students. We're not changes in finals week, changes in meal plan, even the change of the Loyola Phoenix's office a couple of years ago, that impacts students directly, not necessarily administrators. So we contend in that staff editorial that it's really not that the Loyola's Jesuit mission is not, there seems to be a disconnect between Loyola's Jesuit mission and the way they consult or not consult students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Student body involvement is definitely something very important. And we thank you so much again for coming out with us, Esther, and discussing this. And you know, no one likes waiting for the internet. Would you pay more if you could get on faster? But can everyone afford better speed at higher prices? That's the issue behind net neutrality, and it's the subject of today's Studio 51 commentary with Monique James. Monique?
President Obama urged the Federal Communications Commission this week to set rules for the net neutrality. He wants everyone to have equal access to the internet. President Obama believes we cannot allow internet service providers to restrict the best access or pick winners and losers. Net neutrality says internet service providers should allow consumers equal access to all websites. Some internet service providers like Comcast and Verizon say they should be allowed to pick what people see online. They charge consumers according to their own fee guidelines. Verizon said net neutrality would limit the amount of money possibly gained. I believe that doesn't matter as much as the fairness toward consumers. Not everyone can afford packages made by some internet service providers like Comcast. This is unfair and discriminates against consumers who don't have the money to pay high prices for Netflix and other streaming services without there being any regulation on the internet. These service providers can use whatever prices they want. I also urge you to go to the FCC website and voice your opinion. The website allows for comment, but you can always write them a letter or give them a call. For Studio 51's commentary, I'm Monique James.
Thanks, Monique. You know, it's a complicated issue, but one thing's for sure, I don't want to pay more for my Netflix speed.
Exactly. Netflix, HBO Go, I like it how it is.
Yeah. After the break, our foodie will help us find a little taste of Italy right here in Chicago.
And in case you missed any of the great performance throughout this summer's music festivals, our entertainment beat will let us know where they will be popping up this winter. We'll be right back.
Come on. How you feel? How you feel?
I'm feeling good. Spin me, spin me.
Got you.
Oh, goodness.
Abandoned and lost. From the dark, cold streets of the city to a cage in the local shelter, to heaven, your lap.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. If you're looking for a new place to wine and dine, Samantha Sartori has just the place. She takes us to Cortino's, just around the corner in River North. Samantha?
Now, after studying abroad for 4 months in Rome, I'm always craving some good Italian food, but luckily I found the perfect spot just a couple blocks away from campus.
Located on the corner of State and Ontario, Cortino is a lively restaurant and wine bar. Studio 51 reporter Chelsea Kuchik works there and recommended we stop by to try some of the dishes she's been eyeing up at work. Their menu features small plates, including homemade pasta and thin crust pizza. We wanted to try as much as possible, so we opted for half-size portions, which is a good way to get a taste of everything. The restaurant's name means a quarter liter, so of course we had to start our meal off with some vino. The house white wine was crisp and refreshing, perfect for a fall afternoon. For starters, we ordered bruschetta, pancetta-wrapped dates, and calamari. The bruschetta was a varied take on an Italian favorite, and the dates were a mouth-watering combination of savory and sweet. We were a little indecisive when it came to choosing a pasta, but ended up going for the cavatelli and pappardelle dishes. I preferred the cavatelli, made with fresh tomatoes, basil, and ricotta. The rich flavors brought me back to my days spent in the Eternal City. And what would a good meal be without dessert? Tiramisu isn't always on the menu, but as soon as I heard it was available, my decision was made. And, since I have quite the sweet tooth, we also split the zeppole, which are hot Italian donuts served with honey and dark chocolate. Desserts did not disappoint, so next time I'm in the mood for something sweet, maybe I'll stop by for tiramisu and espresso. The bill ended up being about $23 per person, so keep in mind small plates can be enticing and the bill will add up quickly. Like a traditional Italian restaurant, we weren't rushed through our meal and really had time to enjoy every dish.
Now, don't be fooled by the empty tables around me. Cortino does get very, very busy at dinner, so I'd highly recommend making a reservation. For Studio 51, I'm Samantha Sartori.
Thanks, Samantha. You know, that's actually my favorite restaurant in Chicago.
No way. Well, they are Let Us Entertain You too, so they have plenty of industry discounts.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to going there again. And another thing we have to look forward to in the city is great musical performances. Lauren DeVito shares all the can't miss acts that are coming back to Chicago this winter. Lauren?
Thanks, Sandy. This summer's music festivals in Chicago are some of the best we've seen in years. From Pitchfork to Lollapalooza, Riot Fest to various street fests all over the city. Unfortunately, those warm, breezy nights of music and dancing outside are over. But you're in luck. A few favorites from this summer's festivals are returning. If you were a fan of the movies Home Alone or My Girl growing up, you can't miss what's happening at Wicker Park's Double Door Thanksgiving weekend. Former child star Macaulay Culkin is now in a bizarre band that drew a huge crowd at Riot Fest this September. His group, the Pizza Underground, is a pizza-themed Velvet Underground cover band. Who doesn't like Lou Reed? And who doesn't like pizza? Combine the two and you're going to have a great time, despite the reviews that the band isn't all that good at playing their instruments. But for those of us who are more into seeing artists who have mastered their weapons of choice, St. Vincent is an absolute must. St. Vincent, which is the stage name of Annie Clark, has received acclaim from just about everyone. The Chicago Reader, Pitchfork Magazine, and Rolling Stone, just to name a few. Her unique fashion sense even got her named one of Vanity Fair's International Best Dressed. Seeing Clark is truly a treat, both musically and visually, not to mention her robotic dance moves, which make it impossible to look away from her. She'll be at the Chicago Theater December 2nd for XRT's big holiday concert. And get this, she's going to talk about one of her biggest inspirations, David Bowie, at the Museum of Contemporary Art's Bowie exhibit this January. Chicago's music scene is not something to miss. Don't let a little snow hold you back. For Studio 51's entertainment, I'm Lauren DeVito.
Thanks, Lauren. You know, I saw so many great festivals this summer. Have you seen any shows recently?
I actually saw Bob Dylan this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, you know, it was a great show. His voice isn't as great as it was in the 60s, but it was a great night. You know, it was just great.
You know, that's one thing to look forward to this winter. But one thing we're not looking forward to is the weather. Kevin Carroll is here to tell just how bad it might be getting this weekend. What are we in for, Kevin?
Whoa, I hope you guys don't believe in shooting the messenger, because it's a cold one and it's only going to get worse. We woke up with snow flurries this morning and could see more of that through the weekend. Here's your weekend weather forecast. On Friday, expect partly cloudy skies with a high of only 32 and a low of 26. Moving on into Saturday, we're going to have our highest temperatures of the weekend with only a high of 36 and a low of 28. But we will have mostly sunny skies, so you will be able to have the sun while you're doing your errands or whatever you're doing on your Saturday. On Sunday, expect cloudy skies all day with a high of 34 and a low of 26. It's going to be a cold one this weekend, so make sure you bundle up, because even with all my layers, I'm still feeling the cold. This has been your weekend weather update. I'm Kevin Carroll. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm a Florida boy, so I think I'm staying home this weekend.
It's going to be rough for you. You know, I'm from Minnesota. Even I think it's going to be a little cold this winter.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Well, that's all we have for this week's episode of Studio 51. I'm Andrew Gonzalez.
And I'm Emma Wheeler. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.